Hey there, toy collector friends and Batman fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Triple TC, that's the time traveling toy collector, and today we are looking at another entry into the Eagle Moss and Hero Collector Batman Automobilia range that ran across over 80 issues. And today we are looking at an iteration of the Batboat as it appeared in Batman from DC Comics issue 112. And a beautiful model it is too. In a second I'm going to get it up in hand. We're going to take a look at it through the case, then we'll take the case out, look at the lenticular display and look at the model in much more detail. Before we do that, just a quick obligatory PSA. If you could just like the video if you are enjoying what you're seeing, that would be fantastic. Really helps boost me and boost me against the evil algorithm from Arkham Asylum. Additionally, if you haven't already, it would be great if you could drop a completely free subscription to the channel. And if you want to see some additional material, there's some additional Batman stuff and as well as a range of other stuff, then I do have a completely free tier where most of my stuff is stored over on Patreon. A description will be in the description. The link rather will be in the description down below. Apologies, I've got my weekend teeth in today. Yeah, it would be great to have you supporting the community over on Patreon. In the meantime, it's just great that you're here sharing some time with me and the Batboat. So without further ado, let's get this up and in hand and let's take a look. So for those who don't know, the Eagle Moss collection ran, I think it ran for about 2.5 years or something like that. There was just over 80 models in terms of 80 standard edition models that were released, and then there was several special editions that were sort of I won't say they were all supersized, but they were sort of slightly larger models with more going on with them. But mostly the range concentrated on vehicles that appeared in the comic books, the movies, and the TV series. And in this particular instance, we're in the comic books for this iteration of the Batboat. And if you have seen my video on the new release of the re-release, really, the retro release, if you like, of the classic Corgi Batboat, to go with the classic Corgi Batmobile from the 1960s and 70s, then you'll have seen this making a guest cameo appearance when I did a bit of a comparison between this one and that model. If you haven't seen that one, do check it out. Corgi have done a fantastic job in bringing back to life their 1960s Corgi range of Batman vehicles so far. There is one other that I'm aware of that exists, or existed, because I had it back in the day, that they haven't brought back yet, but I'm eagerly awaiting an announcement because I'm sure they're going to bring that out. It would be such a missed opportunity if they didn't, but I'm sure they will. So, focusing on the here and the now, I'm going to get this case off because this boat, it's one of those that really sort of they do a sterling job in this collection of really capturing that sort of comic book aesthetic, because you can see both in terms of the lines and the coloration of the boat how you can just imagine this on the pages, but you can also see that there's almost a simplicity in the design that would echo the comic book content, shall we say, of the time. So I'm going to just pop this down here while I take the little old lid off. And as I say, the first thing we're going to do once we get the lid off is take a look at the lenticular cover. Let's just pop this out of the way here. We'll bring that in a little bit for the boat purposes. But here's the lenticular backdrop. That looks like, well, I'm not sure who it looks like. It looks like it's Batman, but I'm wondering if it is or it isn't, shining a light to determine where a bat signal has been hidden away on what looks like a warehouse, a dockyard warehouse, presumably in Gotham City, which he is attempting to access. Although he's giving it, that's also giving me Statue of Liberty vibes. So I don't know whether it's Batman doing his Statue of Liberty cosplay. So if you know more about this particular story, do fill me in the comments down below, because I would really like to know whether I'm reading that right and he's giving us Statue of Liberty realness, or it's something else entirely. It's just coincidental, but I'm really seeing that. So again, you can see there's a bit of movement and a bit of depth with the lenticular reproduction of this comic book panel. Again, it's not one of the best ones, but it's certainly not one of the worst ones, and it does tend to work nicely when it's a comic book reimagining. They do tend to pop slightly better, but nevertheless, yep, it gives us a bit of a backdrop to show off our Batboat, and here it is. First of all, we'll talk about the display base. The display base doesn't have any additional segments to it, so it is literally what you see is what you get there, but it has been given a really lovely detailing. So this is obviously comic book, and I'll just bring the lenticular backdrop in just so you can see how it marries. So you can see how the water that on the comic book panel marries to the display base here on the bottom. But it is, yes, it's a singular piece of block colouring, but there is almost that sort of diamond hatching that gives it that really nice metallic shine that's really, really beautiful in that shade of blue, and then some sort of comic book designed, what I'm assuming is how we perceive the waves moving about and bobbing about on the water, and it kind of works. It does give us that sense, and we have a slightly raised up plastic base. Usually, as those of you who are familiar with this know, they're screwed directly in to hold the vehicles, but in something like this where it's a floater, as it were, we also have an additional plastic piece that it holds the screws in place and holds the boat together really with the base, so there's no risk of it falling off while people look and enjoy it. So let's do what we normally do and take a bit of a tour around the exterior first. It's again a really nice design, and you can see how it's evolved. If you're familiar with the Batboat designs, you can see how it forms part of the evolution of the line of those ships, and it looks really, really nice. It isn't cluttered with a lot of surface detailing, but it is in this fantastic metallic blue, which really does speak to comic book aesthetics. Because again, sometimes to get the sense of black within a comic book aesthetic, things were coloured this sort of this shade of blue. However, I am inclined to think that the intention here is that it's that shade of blue rather than it is a replacement black, and I'll give you my reasoning for that in a second. I could be wrong, but we'll see. So we have this very smooth, sleek outline. We do have those sort of almost harbour lights at the front there, just sort of as running lights and to pick out what the Batboat is closing in on, but not an awful lot of lights, so it can operate, in the dark relatively unnoticed. Lovely sort of fins here at the rear, and these jet turbines, sort of the side pylons culminate in these jet turbines, which are very, very nice. Again, very little detailing around the back, and by very little, technically, I mean none. So it's very smooth, very simple and very straightforward. And this side really duplicates everything we've seen. So there's a real consistency to design, but it does give a very nice sense of being, water ready, seafaring. On the front, we can see pulled out in black and white a wonderful iteration of the Bat Cowl. So we're under no illusion as to who this belongs to, and this is my reasoning for why I think this is designed to be that blue shade rather than it's just sort of artist's impression of darkness, because this symbol is black. So again, if this was supposed to be black, then we'd lose that completely. So the matte black bat symbol on the front, or bat cowl symbol on the front, leads me to believe that it's probably the nature of the design. Now, as we've mentioned already, there's no other external designs to look at, so we'll sort of turn it around and come into the cockpit area, and they've got this lovely almost 1960s TV feel of the yellow comfortable sofa seating arrangement within the boat, and there is, as I mentioned before, there's minimal but functional detailing on the dashboard. So there is the steering wheel for the boat, which is also pulled out in a very nice blue there, which matches the boat. It doesn't quite have the same metallic sheen, but it does have that same blue quality, which is lovely to see. Again, the interior is yellow, so that's lovely, and it also matches, if you think about it, the batsuit design of the time, where you've got that sort of yellow belt and yellow bat insignia or back the backdrop of the bat insignia tended to be this nice sort of almost mustard yellow colour. I really like this shade of yellow. So we can see that there are a range of dials and a couple of buttons, and what I suspect is either a speaker array or a radar array, although there's no obvious radar. But you know what, this is Batman, he can have a radar tucked away anywhere he likes. So again, it's, as I say, it's minimalist, it's quite light touch, but it works. It works in the context of this ship, of this seafaring pursuit, assault and stealth vehicle. So again, as an entry into the range, it's really good. Obviously, we see a lot of land craft, and we've also looked at a couple of aerial craft. But we haven't looked at many, to be fair, so I might start putting some of those on the channel. And we do have a few Bat-villain vehicles as well, which are quite amusing, which we will look at. Some of them are just downright bonkers, but then when you see the source material, you appreciate that bonkers is the name of the game. To all intents and purposes. So, what do you think? Do you like this iteration of the Batboat? Do you know the history of this particular piece of art? I mean, obviously, it comes from, those who want to know, Batman issue 112. So, you know, to be honest, I can go and Google that, but it's just nice if people want to jot in the comments, because it helps build the community, and we can have a nice chat about it. What do we think? Do we think this is a winner in the Bat arsenal? I kind of like it. I kind of like it for what it is. You know, sometimes there's a lot of merit, rightly attributed to heavily detailed, heavily tooled vehicles that really bring a lot of action and the sense of it to life. But I also think we need to recognise that sometimes simplicity is difficult, because there's almost a desire to overcomplicate something, and especially when you're drawing something in a comic book, you want to capture the aesthetic of the piece. And to be perfectly frank, I think this does. I mean, it has quite a dynamic look. You know, you could see it, could you not? Weaving across the waves, turning into the waves. I can see it, and I think if that's being conveyed effectively, then you're on a winner. You're doing something right, and I think this model does those things right. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you folk think about this particular Bat vehicle. I make the offer on a regular basis. Again, there's quite a few vehicles that at this point in time, early September 2025, time of recording, that we haven't yet looked at in the range, and I am looking to work through them all. I'm sort of staggering it out a bit, but I am looking to work through them all. But if you have a vehicle that I haven't done yet, so do check out the playlist, because if I've done it, then I've done it. But if there is any vehicles that I haven't done yet that you know appeared in the collection, then by all means let me know, and I'll escalate that up. If I know there's something that somebody wants to see, I've done it a couple of times, then I'll bring it up my shooting list and get it included as quickly as I can. That's absolutely no problem at all. Just let me know down in the comments below what it is. Sadly, they brought the collection to an end just before the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice movie, which will give you that'll date the collection slightly. It finished just before that, which meant that the Batmobile that Ben Affleck's Batman had, and say what you say about the film, you can do, that's, you know, up to you, but I kind of liked that design and was really hoping that they would finish the collection with that one, as it was sort of in production as the range was coming to an end. But sadly that didn't happen, so hey ho. I know that there's been a couple released, but they wouldn't scale with this, so you know, it would look strange. Anyway, that's just me going off on a tangent, but also to give you a sort of time frame. So any sort of Bat vehicles sort of post that era, they don't exist in this range, so I won't have them. But anything prior to that you know was released, let me know, and if I can, I will incorporate it into the playlist at the earliest opportunity. You have been a wonderful companion. Thank you for joining me as I've had a little tour of this comic realised Batboat, all the way from Batman 112. I think it's 112, isn't it? Yeah, 112. And I very much look forward to seeing you in a future, or of course, a past video. And it just remains for me to say that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.